And you guys might be a little bit shocked right now. It is a Wednesday night. We are the Video Bros, and boom, just like that, we are now on your screen. I am one half of the Video Bros. My name is Bobby Munson, and the man beside me, you know him as the man with the angelic voice. He is Papa Smokes. Papa Smokes, I'm going to ask how you're doing, but I did notice that there is a slight little issue here with the Twitch stream. Let me just get into this. I think that we have got to do a little fixing here, my man. But in the meantime and in between time, how are you doing, Papa Smokes?
Bobby Munson, I am doing awesome. We are here on a different night of the week, Wednesday night. It don't matter, baby. We're going to have a party here tonight and talk some wrestling. So a big shout out to all my wrestling people out there.
Yes, huge shout out to all of you that are tuning in currently on YouTube, whether it be on the Video Bros Network or on our local establishment. We thank you for tuning in. We are going to give a couple more minutes here, Papa Smokes, before we get to our main topic to get things rocking and rolling, because I just got the Twitch stream up and going here for us. We had a little bit of an overrun there. Our good friends over at Paramindful had their show. Skinwalker Ranch Part 2 was playing there, so allowed them to take a little bit of the spotlight there tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed that programming. And if you haven't checked out Paramindful, make sure to do that. But yeah, Papa Smokes, I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. We got the Twitch stream rocking and rolling. I'm sure our friends are going to be joining us any second now, my man. But how's your week in general been before we even get talking topics here tonight?
Well, I'll tell you what, Munson, I had quite the weekend and quite a good time as well. And as we're going to find out, we had a huge PPW show at our favorite venue in Saskatoon, just off Broadway. And man, we had visitors, we had friends, we had hip-hop, we had all kinds of stuff on this weekend and at this particular PPW show. Man, wasn't that a good time, Munson?
Oh, it was an absolute blast. And that's why when we were discussing what we were going to do, because again, because of a scheduling conflict, myself, I'm going to be stuck at work late night Thursday night, so I can't do the party. We decided to switch it over to a Wednesday for you guys this week. So hopefully you're having some fun. Go to enjoy us. We're going to talk all about that night for Prairie Pro Wrestling on Saturday. And speaking of people who were there, our good friend Chris Parrish, who we finally got to hang out with and meet.
Yeah.
What an awesome damn time that was. Parrish was up there, up front row with Basser, kicking some ass, taking some names. It was a great time. And then, drinks afterwards, fun live episode of Busting Out in person. What a great human being, Chris Parrish. Man, we had a blast on Saturday with you. But, yeah, I mean, outside of Prairie Pro Wrestling, we're going to get to that in a minute here, Papa Smokes. But Saturday in general, what was your favorite part of the entire night?
Oh, good Lord, Munson. I don't know. I work my shoot job all day, and then I kind of like change like Superman in a phone booth, and now Papa Smokes comes out for the wrestling show. I like the little, just tiny bit of nervousness before the show. I like to go and see the boys beforehand and listen to some stuff and soak in a little wrestling knowledge. But it's always electric when the show starts, because as the Video Bros, we have to be right at ringside, right up close to the action on both sides, but my side especially. We have 250-pound wrestlers falling over the ropes on top of me and everything. It's a rush, man. It's totally a rush. I know what Road Warrior Hawk means when he says that now, and I love every bit of the wrestling experience. Part of the best thing is seeing old friends and fellow fans and just shooting the shit with them a little bit.
Yeah, and again, one of those people that we got to meet, cool that we had him on the show just last week with us on the 420 special. So again, that is available in replay mode. You can go check out the 420 special with myself and Papa Smokes right here on the Video Bros Network, or our local establishment as well too. But man, Enjay, we got to meet Enjay in person.
Yeah.
Finally, and I mean, this guy, not only was he awesome to have on the show, and as far as I'm concerned, is welcome to come join us here on screen any damn time, but what just a great, awesome person. He was there. He's with a bunch of his crew there, having a blast, getting involved, yelling at the wrestlers. Man, what an exciting time. And Enjay, also just a great human being to meet.
Yeah, same for me. I love to meet new people, and this podcast has been part of that for sure. But a couple this weekend I get to meet in person, including the famous Chris Parrish and now Enjay as well. Cool guy, nice guy, and had some signs and was just right in the spirit of the whole thing, and just just gives me the warm, fuzzy feelings all over.
Yeah, it sure does. But yeah, it was a great time meeting great people, seeing a lot of the regulars come out. But again, a record-breaking crowd here for us, Papa Smokes. And again, we're not talking thousands or anything like that. We're a very small, humble province with very minimal amount of people. So again, anytime we can pack a place, it's a lot of fun. And this place, I'm telling you, is packed. We always are packed when we hit 250, which seems to be a very consistent number for Prairie Pro Wrestling. But the PPW Nation brought their friends and their friends' friends this night. 300 people in that damn place, Papa Smokes. I was sweating. My sweat was sweating. It was so damn hot in that building.
Yeah, Munson, and you're always styling with the suit and all that too. I can't do that. I got to be in the t-shirt. It gets so hot. And we've only just finished the sub-zero temperatures that Saskatchewan is so famous for, but already this first show in April here, man, that place is getting hot in there already, and steamy and foggy. And imagine what it's going to be like for July and August and all that stuff. Can't wait, Munson. I love to pack in there with all the wrestlers, all the fans, and let's get wild.
Yeah, it was a one hell of a night there, Papa Smokes. Again, you were talking about the nervousness going into it and stuff like that, and I can definitely, say that this is a true thing, especially like I'll wake up on a Saturday before a Prairie Pro Wrestling show, and I'm triple, quadruple checking absolutely everything. And yet I have still forgotten shit that I should have brought with me before. Yet I am checking it over, especially now that I have once or twice forgotten an item. I am checking the bags. I am checking the cameras. I am checking batteries. I am making sure I have got cables and cables of cables and everything is wrapped up and ready to go so that I don't miss a thing. And I am glad that I overchecked everything because I was so nervous going into this, especially with the release of the videos, the entrance videos for the boys on this one. I was extremely nervous that I did all this and we weren't going to get to play them. And then I get there, and of course, I'm being told backstage, it's like, okay, you got all the videos. I'm like, yeah. They're like, all right, so you know how to set that up? I'm like, no. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I hope somebody does. And they're like, you mean you don't know how to hook up to the projection screen? And I'm like, to the hanging down projector up top that we used to use a few years ago when we did the Halloween show, pre-PPW days. And all of a sudden I get this look like, no, we got something new for you. I'm like, okay, something new. I like new. Let's go have a look. And goddamn, this was awesome. The set, the back boards, the wooden boards where our set is set on the stage there. And it's a beautiful set. I get, kudos to the designers and creator of said set. But it looks awesome. And a TV, an HD screen television was actually fashioned and cut out and fashioned into the back of this thing. So that all we had to do is hook my laptop up. We had a couple of things we had to figure out at first to make sure we could get this thing to play. But, oh, man, was I pumped once it worked, Papa Smokes. I felt like $1 million after I saw this thing go down because, man, what a cool touch that was at the show.
Well, for sure. And I want to take credit for coining the new name for it, the Munsontron.
That got over big.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And I've seen some of your videos from the past, but from what I could see of these new ones, I still want to watch. I was filming and taping at the time. I didn't get time to digest them all this time, but it was looking good. Colors, contrast, flashing, all kinds of good stuff, man. And I think the guys really appreciate that because it lends an air of authenticity to the show. Yeah, we care about these guys. We're pumping these guys. We want to get them looking good and want to get them over.
Yeah, and it really did add a new flavor to the entire event in general. We had the cool PPW logo on the green backdrop going. That I figured that out as I got there. So that was how on the spot it was. I I was still missing a couple of the guys' videos that were supposed to send them to me and hadn't quite got to it. And then I get there and it's kind of like, well, what are we going to do for a backdrop? Otherwise, you're just seeing, my laptop screen, which isn't going to do much for us. And so I quickly got into my video editor and threw together a generic PPW video at that point, just so that there would be like the logo on a green backdrop that plays for approximately 5 minutes. And that was just looped in behind all the other videos so that once one video would end, we just had the PPW logo up there. And even from like holding the camera on the other side of the ring, opposite to where you are, Papa Smokes, I was seeing a lot of this. And I normally try to go to the side that I know whichever one of the boys coming out is going to go to first to catch that. But at this, I was more reserved in wanting to hold dead center to kind of get that shot of them coming down the ramp with that. But I know for a fact that you got that shot clear as day. I mean, you do fantastic work up there. So I'm looking forward to getting into the footage and actually seeing this up close and seeing how that turned out. Because, man, it looked beautiful from where I was standing.
It did look beautiful. And, you can count on me to get the entrances, Munson. It's kind of like my one job. Then I have to take it seriously. I take it very seriously. And that's one of my favorite parts now is some of the wrestlers ignore the camera guy as they come down, but some interact with, and I always have a good time with that. There's a couple guys, including Borat, Gerani, that give me a little bit of a hard time as they come down, and I'm always loving it. It's super fun, and with that Munsontron too, I'm just loving it because it shows that people are working on this stuff. You're working on this stuff, Munson, and it's coming out great, and just giving the show just some zazz,
Yeah, everything we've been able to do over time is really built up from the, you look at the beginning, the humble beginnings we had with Prairie Pro Wrestling and everything like that to now. I mean, we've done just little tweaks here and there as we've gone, and it's seemingly progressing. Even now, MRB is still shocked to see her. I cannot wait to review that footage because that was priceless. I'm standing right there. First thing, MRB and Steven come down, and MRB stands there right in front of Parrish, and he's got his hand out to shake his hand, and MRB's trying so hard to stay focused, stay in camera, because unexpectedly bumping into Chris Parrish in another province at a show he's never been to before. It was fantastic. What a moment.
Well, and I know that's weird too. Anyone that's lived in other cities for any length of time, you see someone you recognize, but wait a second, I don't know that guy from this city. Like this guy, it just confuses you for a second too. I found that funny a few times, and then even more confusing when you see someone you know from another city, but they're in your city that you live in now. Bizarre.
Yeah, just one of those things. But it was such a special night in general. Again, we talked about, spending time with cool friends and stuff like that, Pop Smokes, but it was also quite the card. That was the other catch. Oh. And again, this card had some changes to it. This was not the original planned card. There was, for various reasons, due to injuries, that some of the guys had to pull out of this thing. And one of the biggest things was we had a scheduled championship matchup where Colton Kelly was supposed to be taking on champion Sheik, Akbar, Shabaz, and that didn't happen. Unfortunately, Colton Kelly ended up with an injury, unable to make it, hoping he gets a speedy recovery because, again, we want him right back here in Prairie Pro Wrestling ASAP. The fans miss you. The video bros miss you. Get better soon, Colton. We'll see you very soon, my man. But yeah, Papa Smokes, we're going to break down this card, but just before we break it down, I want to take one quick moment because this just aired on Tuesday night. That's classy right there, son of absence. you could let Irish know all about that one, Parrish. That's pretty good. Told me even you made the trip out. But yeah, I just wanted to say on Tuesday night, Papa Smokes, MLW Underground aired the 5th ever Battle Riot, and I just want to give a big shout out to our man Alex Kane. Bomaye, the winner of the Battle Riot 5 and next in line for the MLW World Heavyweight Championship. We might finally get to see Alex Kane and Alexander Hammerstone lock up for that belt. Oh my God, that's an exciting matchup we've been hoping for quite some time.
And then, both you and I were impressed by Alex Kane when he first came into MLW because he's got that look, because he's got that intensity, and because he can talk on the mic. But back then when he first started, he wasn't ready for it yet, and he still needs some maturing, I think. But this title match that seems to be brewing against Alexander Hammerstone, he's coming along at the right time, I think. I think Kane has gotten a lot of confidence and improved a lot since he's been with MLW. We've seen a few of his matches from before then, and like everybody, he was a work in progress for a bit. But this is a guy that's hitting his stride now, big time, in a company that needs stars, and he's got a look and a presentation that works. His Beaumaye Fight Club is a faction that is over. It's cool. People think it's cool. People are buying the merch and all that. It also contains my close personal friend, Mr. Thomas, just for a note there. But yeah, I love this. Alex Kane sets the record for the longest guy in Battle Riot. Taps a whole bunch of people out, throws some other people over the top rope. There was a few funny old timers or obscure people in that. Yes, Snitsky and Duke the Dumpster was in there too, and a few other unusual choices. But you have to get 40 or 50 guys. I guess you got to just book somebody. But no, I'm so excited for Kane. And so when do you think, what will be the next big card or the next two big kind of pay-per-view type events that they have in which Kane might get that shot against Hammerstone?
Well, I mean, he could go Kings of Colosseum would be one. That one would be a big standout for them, and probably the most likely to happen if it's going to happen anytime soon. Otherwise, I can't see it happen until they do another a super fight would be the next one I can imagine would make logical sense, because otherwise the other ones are either gimmicky or seem to be a little bit more low key compared to what they would want for Alex Kane versus Alexander Hammerstone, because this is a big marquee match for them. And did you see the footage of the finish to the Battle Riot?
I don't think so. I saw a bunch of clips that MLW had posted to social media, but tell me a bit about this finish.
First, parish rumor has it Hammerstone may have been injured. Any clarification on this? I don't have any true report to add to this. I can't say for certain. I've heard the rumor as well too, but I've heard that rumor before, and it seems like he's a massively quick man at healing. Put it that way. He comes back from injury very quickly, and they manage to keep enough distance between shows and tapings, it seems, to make sure that Hammer can have time to rest. So I couldn't tell you for certain, and I would not be doing my job properly if I tried to say that that's a for sure thing. As for the finish, sorry.
I was just going to say they were working his injury angle into the show, so I didn't know. I didn't think it was real at first, but the way they were carrying him out kind of looked suspect in a way. Like it did look like it might be legitimate. I'm not sure, and I wonder what this whole thing with Kane has to the future. But I think if we've seen anything from Court Bauer before, is that for his championship matches, his serious championship programs, he likes to take his time and build it over a long time. Mm-hmm. And I think that's an awesome strategy, and I think it's paid off for the last couple champions, including Fatu and Hammerstone.
Yeah, it sure has. And again, that's what's really made the prestige of the MLW Heavyweight Championship so great. But again, going to the finish of this matchup, it comes down to Kane and Davey Boy Smith Jr., who he clearly has had a really, really good feud going back and forth with Davey. And of all things, this is not him catching him off guard, dumping him over the top ropes or any typical heel fashion. This was pure Alex Kane wrestling down Davey Boy Smith Jr. He gets behind, gets him in a like a sleeper chokehold from behind, pulls him down to the mat, cinches it in. Davey Boy Davey Boy is selling like nobody's business, looking like he's being choked, about to pass out and everything like that. And inevitably he taps to Alex Kane to give Kane the victory in this one. Makes Alex Kane look like even more of a beast. He celebrates with the Bulmaye Fight Club, with them throwing him up on his shoulders afterwards. Awesome touch. This is exactly what MLW needed to do, and this is a big money match, if you ask me.
For sure, and especially since they're on their new channel and just trying to see what they have left of their fans from before, and then trying to garner some new fans. And from the scuttlebutt that I'm hearing around on the internet, it sounds like their ratings have gone up significantly. There's more people watching it. There's more people trying it and then watching it again or regularly or semi-regularly after that. That's all they could hope for. So obviously the move to Reels is paying off, and that's the challenge now, is you got to keep the good content coming, right? And I'm sure some of those new wrestling fans had a gas watching the Battle Riot.
Yeah, and you know what, Pop Smokes, a rumor has it the Fusion, well, not even a rumor, they announced it. Fusion is apparently going to be coming back. I'm not exactly sure when, but that is on the horizon. And again, as far as Underground go, we don't know what the deal is past the 10-episode signing. They have been doing very, very well, but we know that there's a bit of issue there with the WWE and the Peacock deal and everything like that. So who's to say? We don't know what the future holds for Underground on Reels right now, but they've been doing good, and hopefully that just means in bringing Fusion back in whatever capacity that comes back, that a lot of those fans currently watching Reels will seek it out. And that's the goal right there. If they seek out Fusion on YouTube or on Pro Wrestling TV or wherever they choose to land this thing, then it might do really well for them. They might even at this point, seeing as they're kind of a little bit more caught up, it seems, on some of it, is to give some stuff away on Fusion and maybe work out a deal with Fight TV possibly. If they had a thing on there, you pay X amount a month and you can watch the events live as they happen. You don't have to wait for the tapings to air. I mean, I think they could be very successful in doing a model like that.
And thinking about the sort of casual wrestling fans that watch on TV, these days they basically have two choices, and it's, Vince's company and Khan's company, and they're on different channels, and you can watch either of those. But a lot of casual fans, I think, don't even realize that there are levels beneath those two shows and all kinds of different leagues and all kinds of indie stuff, and some of that is on TV. So I honestly think that that's the battle, is getting the casual fans, getting the people that maybe never even realized that your company was out there, or that there were levels to wrestling below or beside the big companies that are entertaining to watch and don't have millions of ads and are buried in production glop all the time, like these shows with goddamn fireworks and video, all kinds of stuff. You can get a show that just has a couple of cameras and is matches and just short on the gaga and then long on the wrestling. That's what a lot of fans want, especially in certain age groups that remember the wrestling from when they were kids, when it was a bit more serious, and fell off in their 20s or 30s when wrestling started to go the other way.
Yeah, you bet. And it sure has gone the other way many, many times. In fact, I'm sure there's going to be a lot to talk about this Sunday on Bustin' Out. I'm looking at that new WWE World Heavyweight Championship that was revealed, and I'm sure that's going to be a conversation for Sunday. I can't wait to slay how bad that was. But that's
it's a nice looking belt, but not to steal any thunder from your upcoming conversation. But,
oh no, let's go.
There's already 2 heavyweight championships. Now there's 3. There's no prestige to them anymore. What the fuck?
So they not only took away the prestige, but basically they just took big gold and slapped the WWE logo right in the middle of it as an homage. It's not ugly, but I've seen it before. It's just a really molding of 2 WWE belts, or a old WCW belt that became Vince's property eventually, and then going down and saying, hey, by the way, we're not only bringing you a new championship, that current champion that's just about to hit 1,000 days and break all sorts of records, that put on some of the most phenomenal matches our company's seen in a long ass time, let's just bury him for being a part-timer. because that's what it's came down to. We need a champion, a defending champion. We're tired of part-timers, so we're bringing you a new belt for Monday nights. Oh, I'm going to go off on this. I'm so pissed about this because it dilutes the meaning of the championships. You're pissing all over your current champion and what he has accomplished in the process. So you're burying everything about your own damn company, you stupid idiots.
Plus, it's not like Roman just has one belt and some guy has another one. Roman has both of those.
Yeah.
The red and blue belts that look like toys from Toys R Us. Kind of, those are such hideous and tacky looking belts, by the way. But anyway, so he's got both of them. So now they bring out another one, and he doesn't have that one.
Yeah.
How do you do your champion like that? You now you say that, yeah, you're not good enough. You don't have all three, like, or you can't win this one. Somebody else is going to win this one. It's goddamn bullshit.
Yeah, and I get like it's stupid. So I mean, what are they going to amalgamate Roman's belt down to one belt now, so that they have just the two belts, one on either show? But yo, look at this. Hold on, I'm bad. Papa Smokes, how do we pronounce this one? Lely Lawn. I'm sorry if I screwed that up, but you know what? Awesome that you're here with the video bros on a Wednesday night. Hello, fellas. Here opening my first beer. Let's begin this men's talk. It's going to be a fun time. Let me know how bad I screwed that name up. And Parrish enjoying his very first beer of the evening as well, too, because it's party time on a Wednesday night. But, yeah, I mean, it's just that whole presentation just – it really killed it for me. I really think that they should have just amalgamated that one or those two belts that Roman has into one, made it that belt if they wanted to. That would have been okay. Kept him as the champion and had the championship defended on all freaking shows. That's all I'm asking, is all the shows get the world champion. It can't be a world championship if it's just the championship of Monday nights. That's such BS nonsense. It makes no sense. It's stupid. And I don't rant a lot, but I'm going to rant about this. To hell with your brand new championship. It has zero prestige, and now you're making your other belts have zero prestige.
And now a little kid grows up at 5 years old watching WWE TV saying, Mom, Dad, one day I'm going to be the world heavyweight champion in wrestling. But just that blue belt, just the one that comes on Thursday nights. Not those other ones, but I'll just get that one maybe.
Yeah, well, I mean, might as well. Everybody gets one these days. I mean, it's like a participation medal at this point. It's like, oh, you're a wrestler. Here's a championship. Here's a championship. Oh, somebody said that you're a cool guy. Here's a championship. You know, like it's getting to the point where it's just these belts mean nothing, and that's why I don't care anymore. It's why I prefer the independent stuff. It's why I prefer MLW because, yeah, MLW has maybe a few too many belts for their size roster, but they're not flopping them around all the time either. I mean, it's not easy to get a belt in MLW, it seems.
And that's about as much as you want. Like that's arguably too many, but MLW have World Heavyweight Championship, Tag Team Championship, National Openweight Championship, which is kind of like a mid-card title, like Intercontinental title.
Yeah.
And then a lightweight, guys.
Yeah.
Well, that's not too bad. It's not necessary to have a lightweight division, but with all the lucha guys and some of the smaller Japanese stars they have coming in, yeah, perfect, man. So you can set up angles with that shit.
Yeah. I mean, again, they're just on the cusp, I'd say. Like, it's not an obscene amount, but it's not like it's, one belt like we've got going in Prairie Pro Wrestling or anything like that. And also just in, Roderick Strong is now in AEW. Why? Like, you just want to ruin my whole freaking professional wrestling week? Like, Jesus Christ. Why can't Roddy Strong go somewhere where Roddy Strong is actually going to be used in the way that he should be appreciated, which is basically any company outside the big two? I get it from his perspective. The paychecks are beautiful. I don't blame him for wanting to take the paychecks, but if I were him, Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, no, not Ring of Honor, that is AEW, sorry. But
yeah, that's just
New Japan would have been a good spot for Roddy.
Yeah. But does he want to work over there permanently, or do you do a month at a time kind of thing? And then how many of those month trips, every 6 months do you have before the promoter starts saying, yeah, they're tired of you, man. Like, who's got to stay home for a while before we bring you back. So who knows? But yeah, it might just be for Roderick Strong going back to ROH. He was there in whatever, 09, 10, 11, 12. He was one of the big guys in Ring of Honor. I could see him just going back there. Maybe he can work with his buddies again, I guess.
Yeah, that's what Parrish saying. Looks like AEW doing their version of the Undisputed Era. Like, yeah, but again, that's just more copycat stuff too. Like, this is why I'm certain that a guy like Nick Aldis looked at everything going on in these two companies and said, I could go to WWE, I could go to AEW, but why? And he saw Impact Wrestling and goes, yep, not only is my wife there, but at least they're going to respect me as a top guy in the way that I should be looked at as a top guy, not, buried in some sort of joke clown act or anything like that.
Yeah. Like if Aldis was to make WWE, and I'm not sure if he would, because he might be a little old for what they're looking at, which is dumb. He's probably in his 30s or maybe he's 40, but I would say that they would use him, just like you said, he'll be against Grayson or whoever all their little underlings are in NXT and all that kind of stuff. You'll be stuck down there, and Aldis deserves to be not that he deserves to, but he works a certain kind of gimmick, that of the old style champion in the suits and looking good and coiffed all the time, and it's a good look for him. And that it's kind of like his gimmick is that he's an awesome champion. So I mean, the booking kind of answers itself in a way, and Aldis smart with that kind of stuff. And he was the guy that lifted that NWA up, like Corgan's NWA, up into whatever heights it ever got to, and was because they had a legit champ.
Yeah. And Aldis is only 36, so I mean that's not too bad. I mean, he's in that right prime age to be doing this kind of stuff. Aldis versus Cody too would have been nice to see in WWE. Yeah, if they let it be what it was. I mean, that was a great matchup if they allowed it to do its thing and everything, and allowed Cody and Aldis to, call the shots there without interfering too much. Yeah, it could have been absolutely fantastic. I love the first encounter of those two guys. Women need a medium title like the United States or Intercontinental title. Sure, if you dump the other Women's World Championship, I'm 100% behind that. And not to say, again, not trying to take away, but they've got women's tag belts. If you want a mid-card title, then give them mid-card title and put the World Championship down to one for the women, making a little bit more prestige to it. It would make a lot more logical sense. It's not like they've got a roster of 100 women sitting there that need to have that many titles divided up. I think that personally, giving them a mid-card title would be good for those that are up and coming that you want to get on the workhorses. Have the champions that carry themselves well, like your Rhea Ripley's, with the main world championship that can be defended on both shows, and then actually do something with your women's tag belts, because apparently you forgot they exist most of the time.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And it's like, I'm not sure if there's room for a mid-card ladies title on any of those shows, because the women aren't represented in enough matches on those shows, I don't think.
Yeah, NWA has it, but they represent the women properly.
And Impact also are all about their ladies division. That's cool. But if you watch Tony Khan's 2-hour show, there will be one women's match, and that's probably it. And then from what I hear, friends and other people talking about Raw and SmackDown, is you also might get 1 or 2 matches in a 3 or 2 hour show. So I mean, there's not a lot of room for mid-card stuff in there, I don't think.
Yeah, and like Parrish saying, it also serves no purpose with a brand split. This is why it's like, okay, Raw is a 3 freaking hour program. Why can they not just put all the women on Monday Night Raw, say that the women work on Monday nights and make that a thing, give them more opportunity and more time on the show, because apparently they can draw better than 90% of the men in WWE these days. So give them that opportunity and do something different with your extended, nonsensical 3-hour Monday night programming. Or here's an idea. Maybe they get more time if they didn't take 8 minutes for each person to come to the ring dancing like a fool for television and then going to a commercial. Just saying. But
nice,
anyway,
Munson, nice.
Anyway, now that I'm all fired up about bad things that make me angry, Pop Smokes, I want to go back to Prairie Pro Wrestling, because all of a sudden I feel so much better even saying the word Prairie Pro Wrestling. I followed right down.
Can we stop talking about this topic? Yeah, let's get on to some good local wrestling.
Yeah, I like local wrestling. Raw's been very enjoyable lately, -1 after Mania. Yeah, and you can join people on Monday nights doing the Raw watch along, including Chris Parrish, OMD, Chris Best, and our good friend, the Golden Standard, Carl Carafel on Monday nights. Guys who really enjoy Monday Night Raw and are way more entertaining than the 3-hour program itself. So go check that out on Monday nights here on OLE. Going back to Prairie Pro Wrestling, though, Papa Smoke, Saturday was the Bridge City Beatdown. It was there in great capacity. We talked in length about the videos that were playing there that I had created for the boys. I was actually thinking to myself, before we talk about the matches from that night, I could actually show one of the videos, or at least I'll show the opening to one of the videos. In particular, I could do either the one, you know what, I'm going to choose Michael Richard Blais for this one. I know him and Phil Deadly have pre-existing music that they own the rights to, so I have the ability to play these. So I'm actually going to gear up Blais's one. I'll just find it here for you guys, and we can check that out. I'm just going to play a little bit of this here for you guys, not the whole thing. Otherwise, we'll be here all night. But hey, you know what? If you guys are hanging out all night, I'm okay with that, because the party don't stop when it comes to the video bros. So, here we go. Here comes one of those videos. Anyway, you guys get the gist of it. I mean, it kind of goes on a little bit repetitive from there, but I mean, the cool factor was playing them. Unfortunately, some of the ones I really love, and not that I don't love that one or anything like that. It's just that some of them, you get your favorites while you're working on it. Some just turn out and you're like, that one right there. And unfortunately, due to the music copyright infringements that would be hit on the channels here, I won't be playing those ones here on the program, but they were really a lot of fun and really cool to be able to do. You know what? We want to see more again, due to the music, I can't play any more live here on the stream, but you know what? Because of the fact that they aren't like fully going to ding the channel. Once I kind of mess around with it a little bit, they will be getting released in full capacity on the Prairie Pro Wrestling channel. So if you check out Prairie Pro Wrestling over on YouTube, where you can get a brand new matchup from us every single Saturday afternoon, where you can also check out those videos once they release as well too. The channel's full of great stuff, so check it out. That's where you get to hear Pop Smokes and I call matches every single Saturday as well. We got just had Sean Moore and El Asesino from back in October released on the channel. What a great matchup that was too, Pop Smokes.
For sure. Come on, Munson. Let's see just a little bit more. Can we see just a bit of Phil's maybe?
Phil's? Okay, all right. By special request. Phil's we can. Everybody else is going to get my ass banned from this channel. So here we go. Phil Deadly's it is.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun. Again, everybody really enjoyed them. They were a lot of good fun. And we got our Birdman coming in too damn deadly. We
Yeah.
know our Birdman. You were at the PPW show on Saturday night. I know you were. Always supporting Prairie Pro Wrestling. Always glad to have you out. Thanks for joining us here on the show tonight. But you know, we haven't even started talking about the matches that took place on this particular card, Papa Smokes. We kind of trailed off a little bit there, but I want to break these down for everybody because we saw some new faces. We saw a lot of great things out there. Starting with, and even in the first matchup, we had a new face introduced. We had, of course, the wrestling smartest man, Bucky McGraw, in the opening matchup there. And he was taking on Jared Rogers. Jared Rogers, now just a little bit of a background, I believe is a recent graduate of the Clandestine Society Wrestling Academy, trained by Michael Richard Blais. So again, brings a lot of skill to the table. It really is brand new to the business, not just to Prairie Pro Wrestling. So it was a great opportunity to get somebody this young and this new into Prairie Pro Wrestling and show their stuff. And man, he did a hell of a job coming out there, not knowing this crowd or anything like that. He took to it immediately, and the PPW Nation took to him immediately as well, too.
Yeah, I mean, this was great, and Jared brought not only his skills to the ring, but a pretty fine-looking mullet as well. I was quite admiring of his party business up front and party in the back kind of hairstyle, as they like to say, and I heard that he was a recent graduate, recent trainee and all that. And this was after his match. And I thought, damn, that's good. I wouldn't have thought so. He looks like a guy that at least has a good handful of live shows under his belt. I don't know that he actually does, though. And he stepped in there with Bucky McGraw, and this match looked good. I know that Bucky is kind of a steady wrestler that can work with all different kinds of people. He's versatile. He can work with the veterans and the new guys too. So this match makes sense to me. And it was a perfect icebreaker to start the evening. Not that our crowd ever has any ice on it, my God, but they came out, they warmed up the crowd, shall we say, and this was a pretty good contest. I would gladly like to see Jared here again.
Yeah, I hope that he makes his way out. We're starting to fill those spots for PPW shows very, very quickly. Jared stepping in at the last minute there as well, too. Of course, as Parrish alluded to earlier, Son of Irish was unable to make it to this particular show. So Jared stepping in for him, and that's who was going to originally fight Bucky McGraw. He went out there, gave Bucky a run for his damn money. And I don't know if it's because Bucky was unprepared, did not know his opponent well enough. Maybe he had Irish scouted a little bit more than he had, eyes on Jared Rogers at this point. Jared Rogers really took it to the experienced Bucky McGraw. But again, Bucky McGraw managing to pull out those tactics, use that re-education book to pick up another big W. And that's a lot of W's that Bucky has picked up, and a lot of big ones as well, too. I can imagine at some point in time, Bucky's going to be calling on management and saying, look, guys, when is it my time? When is it my opportunity to go for that gold?
That's a great thought, Munson, and one that I've had many times, even as far back as last year, because as we know, calling these matches and watching the matches each show and then again calling them, Bucky's dominated his opposition. Is he undefeated or very close to it? He might have a loss or two, but his
just a
record,
couple of them, if I'm not mistaken. But
yeah, he's been on every single PPW show, and his record is tremendous. So yeah, like you say, there's just like we talked to with El Asesino, and he said, damn it, there's guys coming in from other cities that aren't even part of the Saskatoon wrestling scene, coming in, scooping up title shots, scooping up the big matches and everything. And Bucky McGraw might be one of those guys that's thinking the same thing. So yeah, maybe he'll come up to Crash Crimson or one of the other PPW management and say, hey, it's my turn. I want the Sheik, Akbar, Shabaz.
You bet. And we got Chris Parrish making this comment. I was going to bring this up anyway, but glad he did. I'm not a big fan of Bucky McGraw, but that Ucky McGraw guy. So I don't know if you saw this from your side of the ring, Papa Smokes, but Bucky's book at some point during the time of using it in this particular match, the letter B scraped off of it, and we were left with Aki McGraw on the book of re-education.
It's got a certain ring to it, but it doesn't sound as good as Bucky.
Well, we could. I mean, I'm sure we could convince. I mean, I know our Birdman. You're a PPW person. How about an Aki McGraw sign for the next PPW event? I think we could get something really started here. I think we could get under Bucky's skin. Don't say we told you to do it.
Yeah, we know a bunch of sign makers. Yeah.
That's right. We didn't tell you to put Aki McGraw on a sign, but you know.
But sometimes Aki McGraw just goes on a sign.
It really does. And it costs you less ink too. It's one less letter. So savings right there. Listen, we don't give a fuck. That's gold right there. That's the golden path of truth. as per Aki McGraw. But yeah, it was a great matchup. Big win for Bucky. I'm sure he's going to be looking for opportunities moving forward. We'll see what lies ahead for him next. But speaking of next, the next matchup on this particular card, Papa Smokes, another Prairie Pro Wrestling debuted. Oh, hold on. Chris Parrish, one more comment. I wonder if McGraw is feeling Ucky. You got some good sign ideas. You know what? We gotta get Parrish talking to the PPW super fan Marcel.
Yes,
he'll have every single one of those signs. Maybe you know what? We'll tag Marcel into this whole thing. Zach Attack, you're getting tagged into this particular video because we need you to see these comments from Mr. Chris Parrish and make this happen in the next Prairie Pro Wrestling show. Either that or Enjay is another one. Enjay will make signs. Birdman, I'm looking at you too. We got to make this shit happen. It'll be fun. But moving on to our next match, another Prairie Pro Wrestling debut, Papa Smokes. We had the thickness. Reid Matthews make his way to Prairie Pro Wrestling, taking on Saskatoon's Tony Novak, Rocket Shoe himself. Tony Novak, the fans love him. They come out in strides for him. A lot of people just absolutely adore his heart, his tenacity, and everything like that. But the thickness. Man, what a powerhouse. Comes out with a lot of confidence. This guy has got a lot of experience behind him, and I am very happy to see him in a Prairie Pro Wrestling ring. I think he made an instant impact. Maybe took his eye off the prize a little too long and underestimated Tony, which was what cost him the W in this one, of course. But I think that he will not underestimate ever again, and I think the thickness is going to be somebody to be reckoned with when it comes to Prairie Pro Wrestling. This guy has got some damn skill that I want to see over and over again in our ring.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And, I first started hearing about him just a couple of years ago, around the time when we did that Northern Alberta Invitational Tournament, when we covered that on this podcast. That must have been 2 years ago now.
Yeah, and times.
He was getting, he was getting a buzz around Alberta then, and I thought, I'll have to check this guy's matches out at some point. I never really did. I saw some clips and stuff here and there, and then when I heard he was coming to PPW, I thought, hell yeah, I'm going to get a close-up look at this guy. And, man, he looks good. The thickness is a good nickname for him. He's got some muscle and some size on him. He's got nice-looking rock star long hair. He's got a big beard and everything. He looks like a wrestler, and he looks cool. And he, again, another guy that maybe hasn't wrestled in Saskatoon, or maybe not in years, maybe for a different company and everything, but he strolled into PPW. It'd be like a road game in sports, just not knowing any of the fans. They're screaming all around you. They don't like you, all that stuff. Then he strolled in there looking like $1 million and had an awesome match against Rocket Shoes Novak. Again, like you said, Novak, one of the huge fan favorites in Saskatoon, and nothing he does will ever get any disapproval from the crowd. So Reid Matthews had his work cut out for him in this, and he gave Novak all he could handle, but still coming out on the losing end.
We got a crest here that we should bring Alberto El Patron in. You know what? The problem with that is Prairie Pro Wrestling doesn't bring stars. We make the stars here in Prairie Pro Wrestling. That's what stars are born. The next big names that you're going to see are coming straight out of Prairie Pro Wrestling. Again, a lot of the Prairie Pro Wrestling crew from the Alberta side got to partake in AEW's Dark Elevation there, and as well as I'm pretty sure we're going to see a lot of the Prairie Pro Wrestling crew, especially on the Saskatchewan side, potentially doing the same once the AEW Dynamite comes to Saskatoon. So again, a big opportunity for a lot of the wrestlers in Prairie Pro Wrestling coming up, which should be huge. But yeah, I'm very excited about Reid Matthews and Prairie Pro Wrestling. I hope that this wasn't a one-time thing. Want to see him come in. I think that this guy is going to become a very dominant force within Prairie Pro Wrestling. But again, Rocket Shoe Tony Novak managing to get the victory here with the, a lot of the energy given to him from the Prairie Pro Wrestling Nation. He is that ultimate underdog that they want to get behind, and they absolutely love him for it. And he has picked up a very reasonable amount of W's and some big ones here too. I mean, recent victories over the Dixie Dragon as well too. Tony has racked up some pretty impressive wins.
Yeah, he sure has. And he had a little time off over last year. And then now that he's been back for a number of months now, he's gaining some momentum. And the fans give him all the momentum he needs, really. And the sky's the limit for Tony Novak. He's young still. He's got some seasoning to gain in the ring and stuff. But the way he works, he continues to improve. All of his stuff looks good. And he attempts some difficult stuff sometimes, and he's just so good. He's got that dedication, and he's a hard worker, and he keeps training all this time. Even though he's a good wrestler on shows now, he keeps training at the academy all the time because he's striving to get better. And that's the kind of opponent you got to worry about in professional wrestling because he's working as hard as he can to get past you.
Yeah, and you brought up the Prairie Pro Wrestling Academy, Papa Smokes, and hold on. I'm a Novocaine-ite. That's an interesting one for sure. But you brought up the PPW Academy, Papa Smokes. Again, I can't say it enough. If anybody's ever interested in becoming a professional wrestler and they happen to be in Saskatchewan or want to travel and spend time in Saskatchewan, they want to reach out to the Prairie Pro Wrestling Academy on Facebook to find out when they can get involved with that training and what training it is, because up next, for the very first time ever, we had our very first Prairie Pro Wrestling Academy matchup on this card. So two members of the PPW Academy getting their opportunity. One we had seen before because back in October, a young man by the name of Riley Shack made his explosive debut against Bucky McGraw. So he was going to be partaking in this one. And I went one step further. I know that we didn't necessarily know this guy's name, but he definitely made an impact on this card, Papa Smokes. We're talking about Maurice Waltz was the opponent of Riley Shack in this matchup. So we have Maurice Waltz making his debut against Riley Shack. Man, I got to say, not only did both these guys impress, but Riley Shack stood out like a sore thumb in so many ways. People are really embracing his heavy metal aspects, his heavy metal attitude. He's got kind of like that warhorse type thing going on. He's got the long hair. Yeah. He comes out to the rockin' music. He takes off his jacket and he's got an Alice Cooper shirt underneath. Yeah, Riley. I could see this dude sometime getting so much momentum going that he gets crowd surfing through the PPW Nation. I could see a crowd surf from Riley Shack at some point in time. But I want to know your thoughts on both these guys, Pop Smokes, and what you thought of their first matchup against each other in front of people.
For sure. And what a nerve-wracking situation for both these guys. Like we say, we've seen Riley have one other match, and he did very well in that. But to have two green guys against each other, it's a bit of a challenge for them. And, man, they stepped up to it beautifully. And we've talked before about Riley Shack on this show. I like him. He's new. He's going to work on his stuff. He's going to work on his character. His in-ring is just fine. He never seems to lose his composure or lose his place or anything like that. His presentation is very cool. Coming out to last time Ride the Lightning by Metallica, just violently headbanging on the stairs, and then this time to Holy Wars by Megadeth. He's just right into the metallic lunacy. I like that a whole bunch because I like both of those artists and songs. And then he's got the hair, and he's got an intensity, and he's got an enthusiasm. That's what carries through to the fans. The fans don't want to see a guy that doesn't really want to be there. He's too cool to be there, something like that. No, Riley is into it, man. And I think that's what the fans really pick up on, is that enthusiasm. Now, this other guy, Maurice, I recognize him, of course, too, as one of the trainees from around the shows and assisting with everything at the shows. But I didn't know what to expect from this guy. He looks kind of like a normal guy that comes out and doesn't have any kind of a wild gimmick or anything. And I was just thinking, all right, what's going to happen in this match? And they kind of square off at the beginning, and Maurice puts out his hand, and Riley's thinking, oh, yeah, he hasn't done anything too bad yet. Maybe I'll shake his hand. And then just that slap, Maurice slapped Riley's face with the perfect flat hand. Man, it sounded like a hunting rifle went off right next to us. Everybody like kind of recoiled from the sound. Ooh, and there's the big red handprint on Riley's cheek. That just set the tone for the match right there. That was like 1,000% awesome slap, and it set the tone for the match. We had a heel, we had a baby face, and these guys put on a nice 7 or 8 minute match, something like that, and it was beautiful. The guys did absolutely great, and I'm looking forward to that. I love bringing up the rookies, just like a hockey team or a football team. The youth is your future, so the sooner you can get those guys up playing with the big boys, playing with the veterans and all that stuff, the quicker we can, or just the more sure we are that BPW's resting on a strong foundation.
Not just it. I mean, again, like you said, Riley Shack comes out. The PPW Nation absolutely love him, but Maurice makes an instant impact. He comes out there again. You've seen him standing around. A very silent individual a lot of the time. You don't hear him speak very much, kind of keeps to himself. So I didn't know what to expect. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, that's why he's been silent this whole time. There is a nasty, mean-ass side to Maurice Waltz. And the more that he learns, the more he develops, we're going to see that mean streak come out in him. We saw just an absolute tease of it against Riley Shack. And again, big victory for Riley Shack, looking great. But Maurice Waltz comes out there. He's showing people that he's got a mean streak. And again, with time, that mean streak is going to turn into something very violent and very scary for the roster of Prairie Pro Wrestling. And yeah, the Mosh Pit Nation, Parrish said that would be a good thing for Riley. You know what? When we call that match, I think we'll get that started for Riley. That is a great suggestion, Parrish. I think that would be fantastic. Riley Shack, he doesn't get the PPW Nation. He gets the Mosh Pit Nation. I like the sounds of it. And look who's joining us a little bit late again. That's okay. Enti Wooji, how you doing? So glad to see you. Always supporting us. And again, getting a shout out from my boy Chris Parrish as well, too. Glad that you were able to make time for us on a Wednesday night. Again, not exactly what we normally do, but again, because I'm stuck doing a little bit of overtime tomorrow night, we wouldn't be able to come at you with the same kind of party capacity. So we thought we'd do this on a Wednesday night instead. And that's what we're doing. We're talking all things Prairie Pro Wrestling. Just talked about the Academy match. I think both those guys have a great future to lie ahead of them. The mayor of the Mosh Pit Nation. You know what? I got to take notes on that one right there, Papa Smokes. I don't know if my old brain's going to remember that for sure, but we'll have to take a note there. The mayor of the Mosh Pit Nation. Riley
That's a
Shack.
Beauty.
That is a nice touch there, Parrish. In fact, that's like shirt worthy right there.
Oh, it's gonna have to cut Parrish in on the T-shirt sales for that one, maybe.
Yeah, I mean that's quite the advice there for that young man. Again, we'll have to talk to him and see. I'm sure with how many people seem to like him, he could sell a lot of Mayor of the Mosh Pit Nation shirts there at the PPW shows. But I encourage anyone to do it. People want merch, make merch, get merch out there. They buy merch. In fact, Chris Parrish was looking pretty slick there, sat next to Blais, are both wearing their Papa Smokes t-shirts in the front row there on Saturday. That was a beautiful touch. The red and the blue sat right side by side.
Love it when my Papa Smokes Nation takes to the t-shirts. There's quite a few out there, and every show, or almost every show at least, there's one or two kicking around. I love it.
Hey, I got to ask, speaking of the Papa Smokes Nation, Papa Smokes, is it within somewhere close a little gift that was presented to you on Saturday night at the Prairie Pro Wrestling show? Maybe we should do another edition of show and tell with Papa Smokes here tonight. And you could show off the little gift that Basser dropped off on Saturday night for us.
That's not a bad idea. I have to stand up to get it, though. I should have been wearing that already.
Not a problem. I should have asked earlier, but while Papa Smokes is getting that again, I'm going to just say we have great sponsors here on the show. Our good friends over at Rogue Energy. You want to check out rogueenergy.com and use the promo code OLEPODS for 10% off of your order. Rogue Energy is the everyday alternative, or is the average. You know what? Let me start that again. Rogue Energy is the alternative to the everyday average energy drink that you're going to find in your local convenience stores. If you're looking for a low-calorie, vegan-friendly, sugar-free alternative, then check out rogueenergy.com and use OLEPODS for 10% off of your order. And you can see Papa Smokes, or I am Papa Smoley guy. Papa Smoley guy. There's a good one too. But again, because it's so popular, and you know what, a lot of people raving about last week's edition of it. Here it is, show and tell time with Papa Smokes. What do you got for us, Papa Smokes?
Show and tell with Papa Smokes. All right, last time it was my Cool Keith record. That seemed to tickle a few people's funny bones here and there. And this week, now a gift given to me by the infamous Basser, PPW's top fan, and one of a video bro all the way with us. And look at this. I've got some gold. Whoop, Jesus. I got some goldware to show too.
Awesome. It wasn't quite Papa Smokes, but Pop Smoke. It was, I mean, I couldn't believe he got something even that close. That was phenomenal. When he sent me the link to that, he's like, do you think Papa Smokes would love this? And I'm like, I know Papa Smokes is going to love that, dude. But yeah, I know that he kind of alluded to having something there for you on one of the shows previously, but just kind of curious, did you have any inclination about what it was?
No, I didn't really, and I just didn't want to think about it too much. I didn't want to think about it too much. It was going to drive me crazy. So as soon as we got to the show, he whipped that out, and my God, I had to wear that around for a while. And yeah, it looks pretty nice on the old podcast here too. I might have to keep going with that. Hey,
yeah, I think it's very styling. We got our own sets of bling here. It really jazzes up the show. Chris Parrish believes the Papa Smokes needs a new show, your own talk show called Siggy's Corner.
Not bad. What's up, Parrish? You're so creative tonight.
He sure is. You know what? If you need some background designs or anything like that, I know he's quite creative on the artsy side as well too.
Really?
You know that badass layout we got on Bustin' Out? That's all Chris Parrish right there. That's 100% his work. Or if you saw on Monday night, Chris Parrish, Ed Fries, and Tom Collahue doing the OLE WWE mock draft. All of that was designed there by Chris Parrish as well too. Looked absolutely phenomenal. Parrish, I also should let you know that I had some messages come through asking about how that was designed and what was used to make it, because people were very, very impressed by the looks of what they saw on Monday night from you. So great work as always, my brother. Fantastic. That little gift. Now we both got the bling. These things are they're getting quite popular. I had a lot of people coming up to the show wanting to give the spin, and yes, I'm giving a free spin here tonight. Yeah, and you are welcome there, Parrish. But yeah, a lot of people coming up. They're like, whoa, that thing's awesome. Does it spin? And they're giving it a spin at the show, and it became a really popular thing. A couple of the kids were coming up, and they wanted to see it. A couple of the adults, yeah, man, is that a spinner? And like, yeah, it's a spinner or whatever. And, you know, it got to be a lot of fun. That interaction is getting great at the front door. I'm getting to meet a lot of people as I'm standing there kind of, you know, stamping hands and counting numbers and stuff like that. It's great. It really puts us in front of the PPW Nation a little bit more and interacting with them. It's why, you know, once I've got the cameras set up at the show, I tend to go outside, not only to get some fresh air because it's freaking hot in that building, but also because that nation, they're all lined up for how freaking long out there. So I just figured, you know what? Yeah, the wrestlers aren't going to come out here and make a big show, but I can. And that's why I come out there and I go and greet some of the people, talk to some of the people and stuff like that when you get the opportunity. Parrish coming in. Did you have any of the beer I gave you, Bobby? Have you tried my best friend's girl? Not yet, buddy. I'm actually saving that for this weekend, my friend. I wanted to make sure that if I was going to have them, I was have them on a night where I was, home from work and stuff like that. So I think either Friday night after I get done this long, boring ass inventory counts, or else Saturday night, I will be trying my best friend's girl. And yes, the beer, not the actual pun.
Scandalous, Munson. Scandalous.
Yes, and again, thank you, Parrish, for that as well too. I really appreciate it, my man. Means a lot that you'd go out of your way to bring me some new beers to try there. So yeah, looking forward to giving those a shot. We got some more matches to break down as well, Papa Smokes, because there was a lot on this show, and this one came with a very surprise ending. The very next one on the card, two guys that haven't been around for quite some time. They ended up taking time off to go on down to the U.S., to the Nightmare Factory, working under Cody Rhodes. Did a excellent job there. Came back, and they ended up going and working AEW Dark Elevation there. And now they're back in Prairie Pro Wrestling, and they went up against each other. They called each other out on the socials. They ended up having a match. It was all night, Levi night, taking on, and let me point this fact out right now, the Prairie Pro Wrestling undefeated Michael Allen Richard Clark. Not undefeated no more. Holy shit, Papa Smokes. Levi Knight pulling off one of the biggest upsets in Prairie Pro Wrestling history and putting the very first loss to the name of Michael Allen Richard Clark. I was stunned by this. Very stunned. Not to take away from Levi Knight. He's a very talented wrestler. We've seen him from the day he stepped in here to what we saw just before he took off there. And I'm sure the amount of stuff that he learned down there at the Nightmare Factory was phenomenal. But nobody expected this. The seasoned veteran of Michael Allen Richard Clark has been able to take down every opponent he has stepped in the ring with so far in Prairie Pro Wrestling. So much that a lot of people had him pinned to be the first ever Prairie Pro Wrestling champion, which we still don't know if that would have happened if he wouldn't have got injured prior to the end of the tournament. So I am stunned here when I say Levi Knight pulled off one of the biggest victories of his career and one of the biggest upsets of PPW history. And my God, I could imagine Michael Allen Richard Clark is not going to allow this one to sit very long. I am sure he's going to be clamoring for an opportunity for payback on Levi Knight.
Well, right off the bat, I was kind of surprised by this match. I knew that both guys were returning. Very happy about that fact because they're extremely popular amongst the PPW nation. But yeah, the fact that they were fighting each other made it even more interesting. And I thought, what the hell's going to happen here? And I had heard a little bit of the lead up to this, that they were displeased with each other and also rivals in professional wrestling. So I thought, okay, here we go. We got a match, but this will be Michael Allen Richard Clark's triumphant return to Saskatchewan and to Western Canada. He will come in and vanquish his evil disco dancing foe in front of all his faithful and devout fans in Saskatoon. And then boom, my mind was blown as well. Levi, always a stout competitor for sure, but I just couldn't believe that he actually pulled off the victory, actually got the 1-2-3 count on Michael Allen Richard Clark in front of all his adoring fans. Same thing with me. I was aghast. And what does this mean now for the title picture? Could Levi Knight try to challenge Sheik, Akbar, Shabaz at some point on the back of wins over superstars like Clark?
Yeah, again, especially if he was to pull it off a second time, if Clark was to go after Levi one more time, if they were to have one more match and Levi was able to do this not once but twice, he would definitely have an argument because, again, you're talking about a guy who went to absolute war with Jacob Creed, tore the house down, had to pretty much hang Jacob Creed by a rope, bull rope, in order to knock him out. But he went to anything he had to do in order to make that happen. Everybody that he's crossed, he's managed to pick up the W's over in Prairie Pro Wrestling so far. And yes, Parrish, you haven't seen him win a match in PPW, but Bob Smokes and I have been there every time, so we've seen quite a few of those W's. Yeah, this really shocked me. And again, not taken away from Levi Knight, he did a fantastic job, and he managed to get that W. That is under his, that is always going to live on. He has got that victory over Michael Allen Richard Clark, and again, like you said, now he can make that argument that he's, starting to become a top guy to be watched out for, because if he can pick up victories like that, who's to say he couldn't pick off a victory against somebody the likes of Sheik, Akbar, Shabaz?
Oh, absolutely. And it just it begs the question for the future: who's going to be up against Akbar, Shabaz in the following months? We know that Michael Allen Richard Clark has a case too because of, like you said, his war against Jacob Creed. Clark is usually a perennial upper card guy or main event guy, so he can fulfill that role that way. But there are other superstars just like Bucky, McGraw, and some others that have piled up a lot of wins on their journey through PPW, and I imagine that PPW management is full of wrestlers requesting title matches, looking for matches, wanting that big one against Akbar, Shabaz, and thinking maybe they could have a run with that beautiful PPW belt. And who's to say they couldn't? But as for now, I can't see the Sheik giving up this belt to anybody. It's not that he's going out of his way to beat all of his opponents, but they can't beat him. And that's all you need when you're the champion. You don't have to pin them. All you have to do is get out of there with your belt intact. And that's what Akbar realizes. So good luck getting it out of his hands. You have to pry it out of his cold, dead hands.
And we're going to talk about him in just a moment here because he did end up having a matchup. It ended up being a open challenge, but we're going to talk about that in a moment because right before that one, we had the Dixie Dragon taking on the Bridge City wrestler Tommy Galavan, another Academy graduate and someone who's been tearing it up, somebody who had that shot at Sheik, Akbar, Shabaz, and took the fight to the champion, really shot his shot and went for it. And Tommy has been racking up some good victories here, getting some good spotlight in Prairie Pro Wrestling. Dixie Dragon making a return, a seasoned veteran, and somebody to be feared as well, too. He's got a mean streak a mile wide, that one. And this match was hard-hitting. These two went at each other. They didn't hold back on each other. Tommy picking up a very big victory, managing to get another victory under his belt, doing some great stuff here for Prairie Pro Wrestling.
For sure. And I'm one of the supporters of Tommy Galavan. I love his energy. I love the way he takes to the crowd and that he communicates his energy with the crowd and they give him some back. He's a very fast mover in the ring, but damn, Dixie Dragon, you and I have watched him for many years in Saskatoon with various companies over the years. He's always been a big guy, a big, intimidating, imposing man. But man, these days, he looks like he's been lifting a lot of weights. His muscles look even bigger. Like when I saw him coming down the ramp at me while I was filming his entrance these past two times, I was kind of like, whoa, this guy actually looks bigger and stronger than he used to. And that's really saying something. He cuts quite an imposing figure with that kind of scary looking mask and all that on there. And just absolute tip of the hat to get Tommy Galavan for stepping in there, keeping his mind clear, keeping his mental game and his psychological game ready, and taking it to the big man and actually coming out with a pinfall victory.
Yeah, and that was after Dixie hot started this matchup. He went for the cheap shot on Tommy off the bat and tried to take advantage, but Tommy bounced back, managed to get the big W, and congratulations once again, Tommy Galavan racking up another great victory. On from there, now we can start to talk about the longest reigning champion in Prairie Pro Wrestling history. Our champion, Sheik Akbar Shabaz, coming out because he's got nobody, Papa Smokes. He was ready to fight cutthroat Colton Kelly, as we said earlier in the program. Unfortunately, Colton Kelly, due to injury, was unable to make it up to Saskatoon and fight the fight. We hope him a speedy recovery, and we hope that opportunity will come his way. But Akbar didn't want to go, without fighting anybody that night. But he said he was making an open challenge to anybody in the back that want to step up to him. Not defending the Prairie Pro Wrestling Championship on this occasion, but an opportunity for anybody who wanted to step up and prove themselves. And if they did good enough, then maybe he'd consider them for a future championship shot. So he's called it out. Who in the back's got it? And all of a sudden the music hits. And here comes Saskatoon's favorite wrestler. We're talking about Uncle Phil Deadly. Makes his way down. And I'm thinking to myself, damn, Sheiky, don't underestimate Uncle Phil and the energy of this PPW nation here tonight, because if there's anybody, we're talking about a night where we've seen upsets already. If there's anybody who's going to utilize this crowd and utilize that energy and love for them against you, it is going to be Uncle Phil. And man, Phil took the fight to the champion. He gave Sheik Akbar something to think about in this one. Yes, Sheik comes out with the victory in the end, an impressive victory from Akbar Shabaz. Well, I mean, impressive depending on how you look at it. Like you said, the champion only has to find a way to get away with his title, and with the feet on the ropes, Shabaz manages to pin Phil Deadly. Smart thinking, but again, not necessarily proven that he was able to beat Phil Deadly, just proven that Phil Deadly wasn't able to beat him on this particular night.
Well, that's perfectly put too, and I like the way Sheik Shabaz ran this too, was that, well, his opponent for his world championship match for that night wasn't available due to injury. So he's the champion. He has a certain amount of leeway in the way he's booked and the way his matches are set up. I like the courage of him to say, hey, man, I'm not just going to sit out and watch the show. I want a match, but I'm not putting the title up for grabs if I don't have time to prepare. Very, very smart by Shabaz. He's not going to lose the belt doing stuff like that. Now, he came close to losing that match several times due to the enthusiasm and positive energy of Uncle Phil. But again, he, like we both said, he only has to hold on to the belt, and hence you get some bending of the rule book. You get some challenging of the referee's authority in the match, just like Shabaz always does. And it was a little too much for Phil Deadly this time. Feet on the ropes, very difficult to kick out of that pin. And bang, Shabaz has another win under his belt, although this one a non-title match. But again, talk about people that want world title shots. Even in a losing effort, I would say that Uncle Phil Deadly has some legs to stand on to say that, look, I hung with the Sheik for 12, 13-minute match, however long that was. And I just about had him. And he had to cheat to beat me. You should give me a title match because I'll come out even better this time. That's what I'd say if I was Phil Deadly.
And you know what? He might already be on the horn to PPW management about it. And time will only tell if that's going to end up being an opportunity for Uncle Phil down the road. Again, let's talk about Sheik for a minute too, because I mean, this guy, there was a lot of mean stuff that went down on this particular program of Prairie Pro Wrestling, this card in general. But one of the heartbreaking things, depending on what side of the fence you're sitting on, and I hate to laugh at this. So these two little girls down at ringside brought their signs. They're there to watch the Prairie Pro show. They're excited. And Sheik comes down, and the one girl's holding a sign that's making fun of the champ. He's not too fond of it. And she's got to be, what, 5, 6 years old at most.
4 or 5, yeah.
Yeah, Sheik rips the sign right out of her hand, rips it into a bunch of pieces, hands it back to her. She starts bawling her poor little heart out, puts her head on her sister's shoulder. She's crying and crying. You think Sheik would go and apologize like you see a lot of these wrestlers do online? Oh, hell no, not our champion, Papa Smoke. This guy gets on the microphone and cuts a promo on how he's tired of crybabies and that all the crybabies can go away, just like this crybaby little girl crying at ringside. He went to town on this poor, unexpected little girl from the PPW Nation. And man, did Sheik look like an absolute jerk. The fans continue to turn on that guy. There are two guys with absolute atomic heat when they walk through on that rampway when it comes to Prairie Pro Wrestling. And one of them is our champion. The other one, El Asesino. We're going to talk about him in a minute as well, too. But those guys, you even put them on a microphone, nobody's letting them get a damn word in. That's why I had to stress what was actually said in that promo, because nobody could hear it, because the PPW Nation did not want to allow Sheik Akbar Shabaz to even have a voice.
No, that incident really made the show for a lot of people, myself included. And you're right, we shouldn't laugh at that, but boy, I just can't help laughing at that, because that was some classic wrestling heel shit right there. Some of the best stuff I've seen in a long time. And man, that's why live wrestling is so excellent. It's because of the interaction with the crowd. And man, that was beautiful. Those two cute little girls were having such a good time, and they thought they'd, to throw a little barb at the Sheik with their signs and such. And Sheiky baby just not having that at all. And when he ripped that sign up and then mocked her on the mic in the ring, it was again, I shouldn't laugh at this, but you've seen it a million times with a kid, just that face turning red and then purple with shame and rage and frustration and all the tears just pouring out like a faucet. My God, that was so perfect. And I'm not trying to bury the little girl. I'm not trying to kick dirt on her or anything like that. That's what happens at shows sometimes, but she will remember that all her life probably after that, because when you're a little kid, you don't get that kind of interaction with adults very often, hopefully not anyway. But man, that just, if the crowd wasn't already against him, it sure turned them all the way against Sheik Shabaz.
Well, and again, we never know. This little girl might one day decide that she wants to be a pro wrestler, might train early enough, get good enough, quick enough, and she could still be roaming around. And all it makes is, remember me? And at that point in time, you just never know. I mean, she could be that damn good. She might end up kicking Sheiky's head right off his shoulders.
Maybe we saw the beginning of an origin story there, hey?
We might just have. You never know, Papa Smokes. Anything could happen. But yeah, we're going to talk about somebody else very dastardly here very soon as well, too. We talked about the Sheik Akbar Shabaz and his reign of terror on Prairie Pro Wrestling. But before we get to the main event, let's talk about the tag match that happened just shortly after intermission. So we break for intermission. We come back from intermission, and it's time for our tag match. We've been having a lot of tag matches lately. Yeah, there's the intermission for you as a little puff on the side. Maybe for a few people, not so much for myself, but that's okay. Got to work. That's for after. But we had a tag match. And the Clandestine Society, we have seen the savior, the leader of the Clandestine Society, somebody who has been around the scene here for quite some time, has a lot of experience, Michael Richard Blais. And, of course, his cowboy, the Rhinestone Cowboy, Stephen Crowe. And they have been killing it in what has been the infancy of a tag division for Prairie Pro Wrestling over the last several months here, Papa Smokes, really making an impact here for the company. And again, they've been put up against, different challenges each and every time. One thing was that, the fans weren't really, taken to it before. We had a couple of, up and coming baby faces in like Jack Pride, Son of Irish, going against them. And it was almost counterproductive in a way, because it seems like the baby faces were being turned on because the fans just absolutely love the Rhinestone Cowboy, Stephen Crowe. And so this time around, they didn't have any problem going out there and interacting with the fans and being happy to see the fans, because the Rhinestone Cowboy got right into it there, between coming out and clapping hands with the fans at the start or afterwards, dancing through the entire PPW Nation while high-fiving everybody along the way. Man, this crowd was electric. They loved the hell out of this matchup. They loved the hell out of these two guys, but in particular, the Rhinestone Cowboy, who has made an instant impact in Prairie Pro Wrestling. The people in Saskatoon have decided that the Rhinestone Cowboy is who they are putting all their energy into. This is the one they love the most, and what an impact he's made in a short period of time.
For sure. And that Blais is always going to get love here. Michael Blais has entertained the fans in Saskatoon for a number of years now. He's completely dependable. He's completely serious about wrestling. He has good matches. He's got good skills. He puts a lot of time into his look and presentation and stuff. I love his kind of evil messiah gig that he's been doing for a while now. He still has going on. But like you say, the Rhinestone Cowboy has really risen to the top of the popularity rankings among our crowd. And I mean, what are you going to say, Munson? It's 2023. The cowboy in pink leather with the blonde mullet is a big thing right now. That's where people's tastes are lying. He's come across. He's struck gold really with his presentation, and The song works perfectly. I always have that song stuck in my head, The Rhinestone Cowboy by Glenn Campbell. I used to hear that on the radio when I was a little kid. I always have that stuck in my head for a couple of days after every show. He's got his little two-step dance, just a very simple dance. The fans love it. We see fans cosplaying as him, wearing the pink, wearing the cowboy hats, bringing the cap guns, having the shirts, all that kind of stuff. It's the perfect look at the perfect time, and he's just running with it. And I imagine that he's pretty pleased about his reception in Saskatoon, because even that very first time, the fans were just, the energy was huge, and they just roared for him when he came out.
They sure did, and I don't blame them. It's just there's a magnetism to the character, and also to Stephen Crowe himself coming out there and bringing this character to life, bringing the Rhinestone Cowboy into the ring and connecting with the PPW Nation. And that's why it was great to see that interaction with the PPW Nation this time, not having to pretend like they aren't cheering for you. Because again, like you said, people cosplaying as them, buying the shirts, doing all this stuff. We need to embrace it. When the fans want it, we need to embrace it. And that's exactly what happened here. And not to take away, we haven't even talked about their opponents. We're talking about a guy who's made quite the impact and been with us for quite some time. Gerani was on the opposite side of the ring, as well as somebody who showed up last time and had what I thought, and I believe you did too, was the match of the night on the last card. We're talking about Marz the Specialist. And I was very happy to see Marz back again. What Marz lacks in height, he makes up for in being an absolute vicious bulldog inside of that professional wrestling ring. I don't care when it comes to size if somebody can fight like that guy. And I don't know a single person who probably would willingly want to get in the ring with Marz the Specialist, because it looks like he is going to toss you around and tear you up and put you in every submission you could possibly think of. This guy is more the style of professional wrestling that I know both of you and I are big fans of.
Well, Jesus, I'm just thinking, I'm glad I'm a 6 foot plus guy, because if you're not, everybody brings up your height all the time. But that's just it with Marz the Specialist. It's kind of like, I'm not sure what the specialist is supposed to mean, but I think it's that he had to specialize in excellent wrestling techniques because he's sick of people calling him short. Maybe that's part of it. But at any rate, we've got an awesome, completely developed wrestler that's come into our league here and made a nice splash. And obviously forming this team with Gerani, a very tall man, that they form a formidable team. And I like those teams where they don't just look alike, but they look different and they have different skill sets. This is a pretty good tag team, but they were in tough against Michael Richard Blais and the Rhinestone Cowboy, who have a whole bunch of chemistry together and a whole bunch of tag team combination moves.
Yeah, we got everybody making all sorts of jokes now because Parrish comes in. Hey, growth spurts can happen later in life, right? And actually, I'm still waiting on my growth spurt too. They're different, about 3.5 feet of difference. They really are. And again, still not to take away from Maurice, because again, I'm 6'3", and that guy could kick my ass any day of the week. I'm not even going to try to compete against somebody like that. This guy is a very, very tough opponent. And we saw that with the way he was tossing dudes around. Like, he has got a lot of power behind him and stuff like that. He comes with a great resume of a, catch-can style professional wrestling background. He's just that style of wrestler, and that's what makes it great. And the combination of him and Gerani made for a very entertaining night. Them against, of course, the brothers Stephen Crowe and Michael Richard Blais, the Clandestine Society. This one was all sorts of craziness. Not a traditional tag match by any sense of the word. No traditional tag in, none of that. It was all over the place, absolute chaos. I don't even know if the referee knew who was legal at most points in this matchup, but the fans were connecting with it. They were loving the shit out of it. So again, the referee let things flow, allowed the boys to do their thing, and they tore the house down. People really were raving about this matchup and the big victory for the Clandestine Society.
For sure. And I know that the fans now, the newest batch of fans that we have, including our longtime fans, want and expect to see Michael Richard Blais and the Rhinestone Cowboy. I think the tag team matches have gone over well so far in PPW. We haven't had any until we've had the tag team from Alberta, Blais and Crowe. So let's keep doing it. I think the fans like this. They like the characters involved, and a little tag team action always breaks up the card a bit. Good to have a different style match and get some other guys working in there.
Yeah, it really was. And again, tag team matches break up what we got going on. We're so, consistent with, one-on-one matchups for so long that, we've broken that mold a little bit. There's been a couple triple threats. There's been multiple tag matches now. So we're starting to get to that point. We even had 2 tag matches on the last card. So a lot of changes happening within Prairie Pro Wrestling. It's all been positive as well, too. The fans are receptive to it. What they're definitely receptive to, Papa Smokes, and I haven't been able to do this for a while because we haven't had a card to talk about, but it is time for your main event of the evening. This match scheduled for one fall.
One fall.
Yes, we had on one half of the ring, we've got the Mexican Devil, El Asesino, and he is taking on Cannonball Kelly. A lot of bad blood between these two individuals. They do not like each other. Mind you, I'm pretty sure El Asesino doesn't like his own shadow. That guy hates so much. But these two tore it up. I mean, you want to talk about hitting the absolute tar out of each other. These two beating the holy hell out of one another back and forth. This got ugly, and this got ugly very, very quickly, as it always does. And it was more so after the match than during it. There was a lot of heavy hitting, a lot of hard hitting during the match. Cannonball Kelly picking up a very impressive victory over El Asesino with that frog splash off the ropes onto El Asesino, pinning him that way. That's a big man coming down on Asesino like that. But as usual, Asesino not exactly the best at taking a loss to anybody by any means. And oh my God, he unleashed an absolute flurry of hell upon Cannonball Kelly after this, Bob Smokes. Lay it out for the PPW Nation and everyone listening in how this all went down after the match.
Oh my God, man. It was such a hard-hitting match. You could see the guys had lumps on their bodies and on their heads and bloody lips and bloody noses. This was like a hard-hitting match. Boy, these guys left it all on the table for this one. Yeah, as you said, Cannonball Kelly just barely getting the pinfall on the Mexican Devil with that splash off the ropes. But as he and Johnny Two Fingers tried to celebrate in the ring with their adoring fans in Saskatoon, back comes El Asesino. I was filming the stuff from the ring. He bashed me to the side, just grabbed the chair from the ringside, pushed Buddy that rings the bell right out of the chair, just grabbed that chair and came in, and oh, good God. Just like we talked about that slap earlier in the card, the sounds of that chair across the back and across the head of Cannonball Kelly. Kelly took that one chair shot with his hands by his sides and just cracked that metal chair over his head. Sounded like a shot, man. Sounded like a car backing up, backfiring. And oh man, Asesino is truly a psychopath. Like he is there's no question that there's something wrong upstairs with that guy, because he's a sadist. I mean, he takes pleasure from inflicting pain and injury upon others. He's truly a demonic force, and the way he laid into Cannonball Kelly was kind of like a man that wants to see this opponent of his never walk again and never wrestle again. That's the kind of intensity and fury he came after him with. I don't even want to know what's going on inside El Asesino's head right now, but he's full of a lot of anger and a lot of sadism and a lot of hate, and he unleashed every bit of that on Cannonball Kelly on Saturday night.
Yeah, it was absolutely disgusting. I was right there when that shot you were talking about from the chair connected, and there was the ones to the side of the body, across the back. Every single one of them sounded like they hurt like hell. Cannonball Kelly was left in the wreck, and this is a big man to be taken out like this. And like you said, the sadism of El Asesino on absolute display here. Again, I wouldn't want to cross the guy because he will stop at nothing to destroy you every single time he's in the same room as you. And I think that was where we saw nobody coming out. Johnny Two Fingers was crying out for somebody to come help. He kept screaming for help from the back. And we had a couple refs that wanted to get in there, but even they were afraid to step in and do anything about it for fear of what was going to come of them. And all the other guys in the back were just like, you know what? Hell no. I'm sorry, but we've seen what he's been up to lately. And aside from the sadistic attacks like this, he is interfering in matchups. He is costing people championships, and everyone's looking at that going, you know what? F it. Like, why should I go out there and do this at the risk of me not being able to have an opportunity to get a championship? Because right there's going to be El Asesino to take it away from me. I can imagine that is the only logic behind none of the boys wanted to step out and protect Cannonball Kelly from this beatdown, because they know they're next if they do.
Absolutely. And I don't know what your personal feelings were during that post-match attack, Munson, but I won't leave my post. I'm a cameraman. I'm a video bro. I have to document this. This is the job I'm doing there. So I don't want to leave my post for one thing. But some human part of me somewhere inside wanted to help Cannonball Kelly, wanted to help Johnny Two Fingers. Johnny came around and looked at me and said, "Can't you do something? I need help." It tugs at you, man. I wanted to get in there and do something. Damn it, Munson, what am I going to do? El Asesino would have got me. I would have been the next guy down with a chair smashed over my head and blood coming down my face. I don't need that, and it's not my place to do that. And, what is another casualty going to do in this entire situation but make it even worse? So, I mean, conflicting feelings inside me. I felt like a piece of crap for not getting in there afterwards. And then I also thought, dude, there's nothing you could have done. Absolutely nothing. And I have some ties with El Asesino professionally, a respect and everything. But I know the guy. I'm not getting in there with that guy. That's like confronting the devil. And yeah, I ain't doing it, man. I'm sorry to Cannonball Kelly, but he's got to take care of his own mess. And at this point, who's going to stop El Asesino? Everybody in the back is scared of him. All the staff is scared of him. Everybody's scared of him. And he's running roughshod over PPW. What we need is someone that can come in here and handle this guy.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm right there with you, because I was right there as this was happening, and as it continued to go on and on. Again, we know our place, Papa Smokes, as the video bros, as the camera guys on hand. We are there to operate the cameras. We're not there, despite our size, to step in to prevent anything. We have officials for that. We have management for that. We have a lot of wrestlers in the back are trained and ready to do that kind of stuff. But the human side of me, like you said, Papa Smokes, as I'm watching this, I'm thinking, one more time, man, and I'm just going to throw myself in there just to sacrifice myself to, save you one extra shot at this point, because it was starting to get disgusting. I was getting to the point where I'm like, we're going to end up with somebody who's going to be hauled off to the hospital here tonight if this continues the way it's going. And then, of course, when we outside of the ring there, and we got our good buddy Braden in the front row there that's lipping off El Asesino as a result of what he has just witnessed, and 3 times getting a full shove right into the seats as well, too. Asesino doesn't care who he attacks. He was willing to go after a fan at this point. And I'm thinking to myself, that's one of my boys, dude. Like, again, I know my place, but one more time, and I might have to step between. I was very, very close. But again, as always, Pop Smokes, I know my place. I know I have to bite my tongue and keep my personal feelings out of it sometimes. And that's why, just like yourself, I couldn't get involved. But again, like we said, it's the stress of knowing what Asesino is capable of that is preventing anybody from getting involved. I think the only way this can be settled is to allow these two guys to just absolutely destroy each other. I think that these two guys need to get in that ring in one of these unsanctioned fights or some sort of thing like that and just lay into one another. And yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, we just can't allow these guys to continue to run amok like this. We can't have Asesino doing this all the time. So we need to maybe give Cannonball Kelly an opportunity, so to speak, to go out and absolutely tear into him. We know this guy's a brawler. We know he can fight. So again, you allow him the opportunity to do whatever the hell he wants to do. We saw what he did to Sheik, Akbar, Shabaz in both the times they fought. Watch out, because I think that everything and anything inside of the Cosmo Senior Center will be used if these two get to lock up in that kind of capacity.
For sure. And for how badly Cannonball Kelly appeared to be hurt, you just brought it up. You got to remember that he did a couple of match sequence with Sheik, Akbar, Shabaz, who also jumped him before the ladder match and used the ladder on Cannonball Kelly with lethal intensity. And we saw Cannonball Kelly extremely hurt after that encounter. And it's one thing that to try and soften up your opponent for next time, but Cannonball Kelly is someone that's, you don't want to get his rage enacted, because he will go nuts on you, and he turns a little bit crazy when he gets that angry. And I think Asesino is going to find that out too. You can hurt Cannonball Kelly, hurt him bad, but you got to know he's coming back for you no matter what. He doesn't have to be 100% back to health yet or anything like that. But he's coming for you, and you better believe, you better watch your back, because he's after you.
And yeah, and we were talking earlier in the show about the addition to the Video Bros, and here he is. Forgot we were on Wednesday night. That's okay, buddy, because you know we can't do tomorrow night because you'll be there with me counting that inventory at work there. But yeah, we got the bling, my man. Master.
Yeah.
How you doing, brother? Yeah, we're just getting to the end of talking about Prairie Pro Wrestling. But again, Basser is going to officially be joining the Video Bros. I'm going to be showing him the ropes in terms of camera work over the next couple of programs, and he's officially going to end up inevitably holding one of those cameras down at ringside there. So you're going to get to learn all the tricks of the trade of video work there. What my capacity will be once Basser handles some of the camera work, we'll just wait and see there. Papa Smoke says a lot of things that could end up happening. We'll see what happens. There might be some ideas behind where I'm going with my side of things in Prairie Pro Wrestling, but that is soon to come. We'll see how the next couple of events go as we add Basser to the Video Bros. Very much looking forward to the future of Prairie Pro Wrestling.
For now, we're kind of like Demolition, where we're going to get a third member in and just be even that much stronger for the meantime. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and as Auntie Wuji saying, yay, Basser, you bet.
Yeah.
Basser's going to be joining in that capacity, learning how to film and make the boys look awesome on camera there. I will still be continuing, of course, my capacity of doing the editing, running commentary with yourself there, Papa Smokes, for the matches on Saturdays. We got a lot of matches coming up for you guys as well, too. Going to have another one coming up again this Saturday as well for you guys. So hopefully you're all looking forward to that and have gone and, pretty much subscribe to all the channels. I mean, we've got Prairie Pro Wrestling, we've got Our Local Establishment, we got Video Bros Network, all on YouTube. It only takes you a quick second. Head on over to your YouTube account, throw us a subscribe on all three of those channels, because we've always got new shit going on here, Papa Smokes, whether it be a match every single Saturday on Prairie Pro Wrestling, whether it be content for the Video Bros Network, or whether it be right here on Our Local Establishment. In fact, OLE has got shows just about every day. With us being on a Wednesday night here, going on just after Paramindful was on, it freed up a little bit extra time for the boys tomorrow night. So tomorrow night, I just want to give a big shout out to Bubba Duke and OMD, the Boar's Nest. They're going to be doing 2-hour stream playing MLB The Show 2023 tomorrow night. So stop on in on the YouTube channel for Our Local Establishment. Give a subscribe and say hello to our good friends Bubba Duke and OMD as they're playing some video games. Again, always branching out in the kinds of content that we offer up here on Our Local Establishment, Pop Smokes.
Well, sometime we'll have to play some games, maybe, Munson. I know that you got a new console last year, and I'm thinking of buying a new one in the next bit. So maybe we could do a little something. Maybe we could get a wrestling game going or something like that, and do a couple Twitch sessions.
I like the sounds of it, Pop Smokes. We're always looking to expand as much as possible. And again, the channel could always use a lot more gaming content for sure. The gaming content never seems to, be an issue picking up viewership and stuff like that. We know that there's a lot of gaming going on other channels. Even right now, as we speak, I see it constantly, very popular stuff. So I think the Video Bros could have some great stuff going on. And also a big announcement as well, too, on Saturdays. I believe every Saturday or every other Saturday. Parrish, I know you can confirm this for me, but there is going to be a brand new show. It is going to be with Chris Parrish and Ed Fries. Saturday afternoons, you're going to be able to check them out playing the GM mode on WWE 2K23. That's going to be an awesome time. Those two guys, those two personalities on screen playing 2K23 GM mode. I know there's going to be some shenanigans. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think that's going to be a great program.
Sounds like a good one. I'll tune in.
Yeah, you bet. But yes, Pop Smokes, I think, we've covered PPW. We talked a little bit of other stuff. We've had quite the show here tonight. And thanks to all the people who have been joining us. We've had some great consistent numbers, a lot of great watchers, some first-time viewers as well, too. So thank you to everybody who did that. But Pop Smokes, as I'm getting our Twitch raid ready, and we're going to send this Twitch raid on over to one of our good friends. I'm looking at the list here, and I'm thinking that, we might give this out to somebody brand new, but whoever this goes over to, I want everybody in the channel to stick on long enough so you can head on over and give an ole, just like that to our good friends over on the next stream. But in the meantime, in between time, Pop Smokes, where can the good people find you?
All right. Well, I'm always hanging out at Elon Musk's free speech wonderland and water park known as Twitter. And I am at Smokes_Papa, and then on Twitch I'm at Papa_Smokes_.
There you go. That's where you can find Papa Smokes if you're checking it out right now. That ticker down below is where you're going to be able to find me. But if you also tune in this Sunday afternoon, that is going to be at 12:15 Eastern Time. You'll be able to join myself and Chris Parrish for the very next edition of Busting Out. It's going to be a great episode, so tune in, have some fun, make some noise, and go off the rails with us this coming Sunday afternoon. But yes, you can check that out. And then you're going to be able to check out myself and Pop Smokes next week right here on the channel. Haven't confirmed it yet, Popper Smokes, but I know I was talking to you about it. I know I was talking to somebody else about it. You and I may have a returning guest joining us there next Thursday. More about that will come out during the week if we can confirm that up, but we may have another big returning guest here joining us on the channel. We are heading out on the raid there. If you're with us still on the YouTube channel, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you guys. And until next week, take care out there. We will see you next week on our regular schedule time, Thursday night. Take care, everybody.